ask you, Lord, to look on this nation and bring us back together as one nation under God. Everything that we've gone through, we know is in your hands, and your will always be done on earth as it is in heaven. Bless us in our decision-making this morning. And let us not compromise, but always be open to other people's opinions. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Flag of the United States of America.
Now call this meeting to order. That's a good way to start, wasn't it, Trey? Do a quorum call. Commissioner Nick.
Present.
Matt Hagan.
Here.
Mark Foley. Jennifer.
Here.
Jim Shirley. Stacy Hamilton. Tim Norris.
Present.
Richard Veltman, present. At this point, we're going to allow any public comments before we start on the agenda. Jason, will you let me know if none? Seeing none. First item on the agenda is Jay. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, council members. It's been a while since we've all met, and it's good to see everybody this morning and kind of get back together and see if we can get going on our new normal, whatever that may be. It might take us a little bit of time to figure it out, but I think we're all working on it. I know I usually go last, but I just felt like with this meeting and coming back after being gone for 4 months and everything that's been going on with COVID, that I would jump up here first and kind of just give a little update and just make some comments. First off, I want to throw out some thank yous and some acknowledgments. The first needs to go to the Board of County Commissioners for what's been going on with COVID-19 and what they've had to do. So, Commissioner Nick, I want to thank you, and I want to thank your fellow board members for everything y'all been doing over the past few months. I've been with y'all through this as we've been in these meetings, and they have had to make some tough decisions over the past couple of months. And so my hat's off to y'all and the decisions y'all have had to make, and I think y'all have done an outstanding job. So thank you for your service, and thank you to the other commissioners. And with that said, I'd also like to thank County Attorney Sidney Noyes and County Administrator Larry Jones. They have worked tirelessly for the county, and so I want to acknowledge them. And then I'd also like to acknowledge the industry, our industry partners. We have had great communication with our partners throughout this process. Figuring out how we at the TDC can help our partners, what you need from us. And, our partners really stepped up and they've been in a really, really tough spot. I have some economic numbers that I'm going to go through in a moment, and I've shared some of those with y'all individually, but I thought it'd be good to go through them in a public forum as well. But anyway, our partners have been absolutely amazing through this, and they are really just warriors getting us all through this. So I'd also like to thank the staff, and not just the TDC staff. I'll get to them in a minute because I want to kind of dote on them a little bit more, but county staff, it's been really amazing and how everybody has pulled together working through this situation, and it has been very trying. I mean, there's no doubt. I know in all of your businesses that you run, you have the same situation, in your front. So it's been challenging for everybody, and so county staff has been absolutely amazing through this. I mean, just, here this morning we have Jason Cook with us, here helping us out. So, I mean, we're all pulling together and getting through this. So, and I really appreciate everybody pulling together like a team, because we are a great team here in Walton County. So now I kind of like to dote on the TDC staff, because they've really done a good job. Still being out there, picking up trash, cleaning up restrooms, answering the visitor center phones, being beach ambassadors out at the beach, trying to keep people off closed beaches. As you can imagine, that's probably a really tough job. I'm glad I don't have that job. They've done a really good job. David's team in marketing and communications, I believe an outstanding job communicating with our partners. We've sent out over 35 emails in the last 2.5, 3 months with all this going on. So, I mean, that's on average like 3 emails a week that we're, in contact with our partners, keeping them up to date what's going on. And so I really appreciate David and his team and what they've done. But anyway, I just needed to throw out some kudos. I hope I didn't leave anybody out, but just outstanding job on everybody's part. All right, so we'll kind of keep moving on. So kind of talked about our new normal. I have some bad news this morning. As you can see, Mark Hodgson is not here with us this morning. He is no longer with Sandestin, so we are now down Mark on the council. So he has resigned his position on the council. So I'm not sure if I'm going to fill that seat right now because his seat was actually up in December. And so with just a few meetings left, I don't know if that makes sense to fill that position because then that seat would have to then be reappointed by the Board of County Commissioners. So I'm still trying to decide that. I may do it, just kind of depends. But anyway, I wanted to let everybody know. And I want to thank Mark for his service. He was a great ally, advocate for the TDC and the tourism industry as a whole. And so we'll miss Mark, but we wish him well in his future endeavors. You know, speaking a little bit earlier about just kind of everything that's going on, you know, this all started back in middle March. We closed our beaches March 19th, and they reopened May 1st. And then the vacation rentals, they closed on March 27th and then reopened May 19th. And so, you know, in that time frame, it's really amazing what happened. And Brian has some slides later on in the presentation that we'll look at. But, I mean, you know, I'm sure y'all all got out and around town. I mean, and it was just amazing just what a ghost town it was. I mean, surreal. You know, you go to Seaside and there's no one there. You walk on the bike path, there's no one on the bike path on 30A, or, you know, you go out to the beach and look out and you see no one. So it was strange times for sure over the past few months. So I'm glad we're kind of getting back to a somewhat normal routine and working through things. So just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. I wanted to talk a little bit about the impact that tourism, COVID-19 took on the tourism industry in Walton County. And so this was as of May 1st, but you know, 42% of businesses stated that they could have only lasted another month or two until we opened things back up. So when we opened things up, it was a good decision to do so, in my opinion. And so we were able to keep our economy running. And I think if one thing that this virus has taught us is the value of the tourism industry to Walton County. It's huge. You know, 35% of firms had laid off employees. 57% of those firms had cut hours. Only 3% of tourism businesses in Walton County were operating at full capacity. I mean, 3%. That's pretty minuscule. You know, so 71% of tourism businesses had applied for financial stimulus. Only 30% had received it. So, you know, that's just some important data, I think, just to kind of keep in mind of what we all went through. We're actually getting ready to do another wave of economic impact, do another survey of our partners. We'll probably be doing that in about another week or two. We wanted a little bit of time for things to kind of get back open, and so businesses kind of get back up to speed, and have about 2-3 weeks under their belt. So we'll be doing another one of these, like I said, in another couple of weeks. So, but this information is really, really important. This is the information that we presented to the Board of County Commissioners, so they can kind of make informed decisions on how they want to proceed. And so, you know, I'm glad that we have the resources that we're able to do research like this. We've also done some consumer sentiment research, and David will talk a little bit about that in his section, but, you know, trying to find out what the trends are, people, what they're willing to do right now in this new normal of COVID-19. So great information, and Philip has been doing a phenomenal job with Downs and St. Germain, leading his team and helping us get that information we need so we can make the right decisions. Let's see. So that's it about COVID-19 updates that I have. A couple other quick updates that I want to bring you up to speed on. The North Walton TDT referendum, that'll be moving forward to the Board of County Commissioners in the next meeting or two. It is actually with the county attorney right now. We've talked about that over the past year, about looking at doing that. And so that'll be on the ballot in November, should the board choose to move forward with that. I have every indication that the board will still want to move forward with that, but it's their ultimate decision that they'll be making, like I said, the next meeting or two. And so that'll be just to expand the taxing district beyond South Walton into the north end. The next thing that I mentioned, I talked about Mark and his seat being up, but I wanted to kind of just go over with a few of y'all of where we are with seats. So Richard, your seat will be up in December, as well as Mark's. Tim, yours will be up. And Matt, yours will be up as well. And then Trey, I'm sorry, Commissioner Nick. Sorry about that.
Oh, worse.
Excuse me. We have a great relationship, but I shouldn't take advantage of that. Commissioner Nick, your seat is up as well, and we'll have to talk about who the board's going to appoint, because you'll most likely be board chair. So, but that all remains to be seen. That's very fluid. So. Anyway, so those guidelines will be going to the board for their approval, and I'll have the date in there, and I'll just kind of give you some of the dates. So we're looking at the applications being due at the beginning of September, and then we'll be presenting this to the Board of County Commissioners in the beginning of October. So that'll give us about a month to go through the applications and vet those candidates, and then get those candidates to the board for their approval. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on that. And then that's all the updates I have, unless anybody has any questions for me. Yes, sir.
You're still the chief. And so I think I can say comfortably on behalf of the council, the job that you've done has been outstanding, and our compliments to you. You're the one that directs all these other people other than the county commissioners.
Yeah, well.
So our hats go off to you, Jay, for doing such a great job during a very, very difficult time. None of us would trade places with you.
Yeah.
And I think
Thank
I
you.
share the sentiment of all the council members this morning by saying that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're proud to have you in this position,
Yeah.
Jay. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nick. I appreciate that. And then, so without further ado, then I will turn it over to Jason.
I think I'm up next.
Oh, are you up next? I'm sorry.
That's what I get.
You are up next. Excuse me.
I give you a compliment and then you take away. I'll forgive you this time.
Thank you, I
okay?
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Might as well have fun while we're here, right? Next item on the agenda is the question for approval of the February 6th meeting minutes, since we did not have a meeting on April 7 due to the Chinese Communist Party virus. I call it the CCP virus. So anyway, I need a motion for that. I need a second.
Second.
Second on the motion. We have any public comment on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Jason, good morning, sir. Keep it rolling.
Good morning, Council, Chair, Commissioner Nick. Jason Cottrell, Director of Administration. Thank you guys for all your support, especially during this quick change of location due to air conditioning, which is vastly important during this time of the year. Real quick, I'll try to breeze through some things and highlight some. This will be the financial report for December through March. I'll highlight on the bookend of that and just talk through February and March, but in your packet, you'll find a detailed report with every month and exactly how much was spent in every category. So for March, we were 50% through the year with 23% spent, and the pie chart depicts 1 month of spending and the percent to each department. The next one's a quick snapshot. We have for bed tax collection $6.9 million year to date. We originally anticipated $27 million going off the trend from last year. You know, that's without the COVID and everything else added into it. But towards that goal, we are 25.75% towards that. Our bed tax collection in March was $2.3 million. Our retail sales was $5,000. So our total March revenue was $2.3 million. Our reserves is broken out into each percent with a grand total of $45.8 million currently in reserves. The next slide is directly taken out of one of my tracking sheets, and that is the Tdt Collections. And for February, we collected $731,119. That's 3.11% higher than February last year. In March, we collected $1.355 million, which is 41% lower than last year. And our year-to-date total is $6.9 million, which is 16.84% lower than last year. This is including our 5% right here that we started in January, so that's our grand total at the bottom. We do believe that, you know, comparing FY19 to 20, that the storm demand for supporting lodging has played a key part in the large increase in our winter months. I mean, of course, our spring and summer downturn is due to the ban on short-term rentals. as well as the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're all working towards having a stronger summer and fall and staying very optimistic. We just got our April numbers in. It was 373,941. That was 85% lower than April of last year, but still relatively impressive to have those type of numbers in a month where short-term rental was shut down, showing that there was still some activity following the guidelines. But unless you have any questions, I'd like to respectfully request approval for the December through March financials as presented.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any public comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir. Next is the marketing plan, and this is usually presented in April. That way we can reflect it in our June budget presentation. Since that one was canceled, we wanted to make sure we provide it to you at this meeting. We have Jeff Zender from our advertising firm that will provide you guys with more information.
Morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioner Nick, Chairman Veldman, and council members. I think for the purpose of this presentation, we're just going to keep this static slide up today, but you do have the information in your packet. So for the record, I'm Jeff Zender of Zender Communications, covering the next item, which is the request for approval of the fiscal year 2021 marketing plan. Before I present the fiscal year plan or give you the highlights, David and I were speaking yesterday, and obviously I think Jay did a good job of touching on it, but obviously COVID-19 and the marketing that's currently in place is probably very top of mind. So I know David's going to give a more detailed report on that in his marketing section, but I did want to say that really throughout this whole pandemic, we have dialed back most of the marketing to digital only. Obviously, as you see in the plan this year, we really are heavily dependent or driven by digital marketing anyway. It's allowed us to evolve very quickly as the phases have changed. It's also allowed us to very much pinpoint the markets that we are able to target. And so right now, in the current state that we're in, it's focusing solely on drive markets, even to the exclusion of certain markets like New Orleans that are really kind of forbidden from coming here. So, but David will elaborate more on that. So with your permission, I'll proceed to the fiscal year 2021 plan. I'm going to give you some highlights, and then I can answer any questions through the packet if you have them. Our media team is actually online as well, so if you have questions, they can certainly dive into it. So given the projected impact of COVID-19 on South Walton's budget, the recommendation for the media and the marketing plan for fiscal year 2021 aligns with that of fiscal year 2020, so no change from a dollar standpoint. Important to highlight that at the outset. Our objectives remain the same, which is really increasing awareness of the South Walton brand in both our core and our emerging markets, and to really drive visitation of a highly affluent customer to South Walton during the peak period, to non-peak period primarily, and really to a super affluent customer during peak period. The audience is that affluent leisure traveler. As Jay mentioned, Downs and St. Germain conducts all the research for the TDC. This year, we've been able to do some additional lifestyle segmentation studies, and there were two clusters within that study that we really are focusing on. One is referred to as the luxury family getaways, and the other is the wealthy retirees. So generally, demographically, that audience is 35 to 74 with a household income of $175,000 or more. We really try to target even higher than that, but from a media buying standpoint, that's about the highest end you can go. It is the highest end you can go. And we'll obviously keep refining these efforts in terms of who our target audience is as research comes available. On the group sales side, so that's most of the leisure side. On the group sales side, we really target three groups. We have the meeting planner segment that we go after for the SMERF market, which I think you're all familiar with: social, military, education, religious, fraternal, the SMERF, the acronym. We also target brides for the wedding market, and then we also target the travel trade planners. So there's obviously the leisure side and the group side. From a target market standpoint, we often speak of our core and our emerging markets. Our core markets, remain Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth, Nashville, Houston, Birmingham, and New Orleans. And these are all detailed in your packet. Those are largely our drive markets, although some of those do fly in, mainly at Houston and Dallas. Our emerging markets are Chicago, St. Louis, Baltimore, Louisville, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. And these obviously are continually evaluated as well as we see key data information that comes in of where booking requests and requests for information are coming from. So I'm going to speak to the media flow chart that's on page 1 of that PDF document and the media composition. So you can see the comparison between fiscal year 2020, which is what we're in now, and the recommendation for fiscal year 2021, which will start in October. And I'll point out a couple of differences. As I mentioned, digital and interactive media continue to really drive our marketing. We've been fortunate to represent South Walton for, I think, almost 9 years now. When we took over, the media mix was probably 80+% print. We're now 60+% digital. And that number is actually even a little bit larger. And I'll get to that in a second. So digital interactive media obviously is where it's at. It's very trackable. We can get a lot of details in terms of information and where they're coming from, so we're really able to pinpoint our marketing. We are excited that fiscal year 2021 includes the recommendation to add regional cable and connected TV to the plan. And if you're looking at the percentages in the pie charts, you may think that the introduction of TV sort of is diluting the digital spend by a percentage point or two. It's really not, because you have to look at the TV as almost digital in and of itself, particularly the connected TV piece. So connected TV, for those who may not be familiar with it, involves our smart TVs, TVs with connected devices like Apple TV or Roku or Google Chromecast, etc., even gaming consoles that can stream content. So really, for all intents and purposes, that is a digital media mix. So in my opinion, or our team's opinion, digital interactive spending is actually higher, even in 21. But we are excited about that addition. From a co-op standpoint, we're introducing something pretty exciting as well, which is a co-op opportunity for our partners via Hulu for fiscal year 2021, which incorporates footage that we've been able to capture this year of all of our individual beach neighborhoods. We know that makes South Walton so unique. It's a wonderful way from a co-op standpoint for us to allow our partners to participate and have footage in Hulu that really represents their neighborhood. Kind of an exciting addition. Our print co-op plan has been completely overhauled. You'll recall that in previous years, we've run a lot of national media, national publications. They've gotten really, really cost prohibitive. And so we've kind of pivoted this year, and we're going to more regional publications. So magazines like Atlanta Magazine or Dallas Magazine, et cetera, Nashville, versus all national publications. It's allowed us to increase the number of frequencies, insertions that we have. It's allowed us to increase the way we will do co-op in print, so we'll have equal representation for our brand and for our partner participants. We think it's really going to be an advantage that they'll like. And you'll notice in the detailed plan that you have, that there are a lot more co-op opportunities for our partners to participate in. It's not just our lodging partners, it's really our industry partners throughout South Walton. On the creative side, as most of you are aware, Downs and St. Germain continues to conduct consumer research, sentiment research, and this year they've done focus group information. So our team has been able to incorporate that information on consumer sentiment into the development of creative. So for fiscal year 2021, we'll have all new creative for the brand advertising, the co-op advertising, and the video advertising. So that's an exciting change as well. That's kind of a high-level overview of fiscal year 2021. I can answer any additional questions you have, and if you don't, I would ask for approval of the fiscal year 2021 marketing plan. Questions?
Just, excuse me, Jeff. I had the wonderful opportunity to be quarantined in northern Mississippi and talked to a lot of folks in the Memphis area, and everybody knows about us. And I don't see that as either an emerging or a sustaining market objective. Has it fallen by the wayside? Because I know in years past it was up there, the Memphis area.
Right.
And you didn't cite that today. And I'm not biased towards that market one way or the other. It's just being up there and being quarantined and talking to a whole lot of people. They know about us. And that was real reassuring to hear that. And there was a lot of pent-up demand of people that wanted to come back.
Absolutely. So what I listed were really the top level top
Okay.
list, but Memphis absolutely is a target market of ours. And I think Philip could probably speak more intelligently to where they rank in that list. But so we just really target the top ones.
No, I understand that, and I'm not trying to, like I say, have a biased opinion about anything, and it doesn't matter to me where it ranks. Just being stuck up there for a little while made me realize, how many people really do know about South Walton. It was absolutely amazing.
Excellent news.
Yeah.
Or maybe question, with people's reluctancy to travel parts, even if travel bans are throughout the country, we're seeing that a lot of people are wanting to stay close to home, so our drive markets may expand a little. So what basically we were thinking, these drive markets like Chicago, Baltimore, they may be willing to drive in.
We're seeing their cars here now.
Yeah, they're here now. So it just may be interesting in our messaging and the words we choose when we're targeting those markets to, just kind of think about the fact that they may not be willing to jump on an airplane and come down, but are still interested in getting away. So just, putting that.
Excellent point.
Yeah, Jeff, yesterday, I think Visit Florida just put out a statement that a lot of it's going to be more drive-through. They have a plan, I don't know what kind of strategy we have here. I know we gotta make some adjustments. And theirs was within state, and in there, we are the second most driven to area, this panhandle, for tourism, Florida, other than, as we know, Orlando. So that's a good thing to capitalize on, as you're saying. And it would be very beneficial for us, strategy to kind of look at that too, because Visit Florida's looking to partner up with them to be able to go out and grab other markets.
And I think it would be beneficial to your partners as well to kind of know if we're going to kind of head into those markets, what methods and languaging you're using, so that we can, if we're going to be going to some other markets, be able to support it.
Well, just a point of clarification, and Jeff's referring to our next year's budget plan. So we don't really know exactly what's going to happen. We've got a good structure for how we'll do that, but I can assure you that right now, we have already heavied up on those drive markets and pulled back a little bit from the fly market. So that's the beauty of being digital, is that we can make those changes fast and throughout this process, and I'll speak to it later, but we
We all did too, but I just think maybe we could convince our fly market tenants worth the extra 2 hours to make.
On top of that too, where there's more travel going to be to rural areas instead of areas that are big cities like Orlando. I think people will want to travel to a place like ours, so that should be on top of the drive market. It should be, that's studies we've seen, is they definitely want to come to an area like ours that doesn't have a big city and that doesn't have a lot of perceived, a lot of space. So I think those are the two things that connect. I'm sure you know that.
Our current marketing is very much emphasizing the 40% of our land is preserved,
Yeah.
and it's a great place to spend time with family, away from it all, and use those type of ideas. People, so I'll speak to it a little more later, but we look at the consumer sentiment surveys we've done so far, with a third on the way, and we can adjust our marketing based on that, and we want to make sure that we know what's going to make people feel good about South Walton, and make sure as well that they know how to vacation responsibly here, because it is truly a partnership between the visitor and ourselves.
I think both of those points are very, very well taken, and I just want to let the record reflect that that the council has a real concern that we continue to monitor that. But, there is pent-up desire, but you made a good point about congestion. And I'd just like to add to that even though you monitor it almost on a daily basis, that at least for the foreseeable future, there is pent-up demand, but there's also, flight fear. And so it's something we highly recommend that we continue to push down that until we see some changes. And as long as you're analyzing that data on a regular basis, we should keep that in mind, that that's probably our short-term tourism dollars.
It's been really interesting because I would say, 3-4 weeks ago, and when we did our first consumer sentiment survey, we thought our challenge was going to be convincing people to return to the area. And as you've seen, not a challenge. People
Not really.
were desperate to get out of the house. A lot of people had been cooped up for so long. And I'll speak to what messaging from us they may have been seeing that hopefully, primed their desire to, or their awareness of South Walton. But that is very much a concern, and our voice has been very much with the aim of informing the consumers and making sure that they know how to do their part in the partnership that is travel.
One other caveat to this is on the real estate side, which I obviously deal with, there has been, I've actually encountered people moving here that have been here vacation, stayed here, and they're moving here. And this is an interesting trend. I knew this might happen from California. Just being out on the beach and just, and, doing real estate call. That's another little trend we're starting to see. We do reach out farther. It's not one. We are reaching out farther. They come here, word of mouth. A lot of them are from their friends. They actually are bringing friends here. So, and they'll stay here and benefit. Yeah, they're already.
Yeah,
We can't wait to get out of there and get to the beaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some of these major tech companies are not bringing people back to work for a year or two. And they discover they can work remotely. And if you can work remotely, wouldn't you rather work from here than 14th Street, Manhattan? I would.
No other questions? I would request approval of the fiscal year 2021 plan.
Okay, we need a motion made. Second?
Second.
Matt made the second. We have a motion and a second. Any public comments on the approval of the 21 marketing plan? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion is approved.
Thank you all. It's wonderful to
Jeff.
see you again, too.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jason, I guess we're going to see you again.
Great stuff. Hello again. This next slide and next item we have on the agenda is the FY 2021 budget draft. And I'm going to start with a little history and kind of how that's built. Every year we use our current TDT predictive revenue to build a budget for the following year. So FY20 TDT will fund FY21 operations. Keeping our focus as marketing our destination as our cornerstone, we've cut many projects, repairs, done some staff changes, no big equipment purchase, and we're bringing some operations in-house in order to reach this number. This year has been most challenging, and I've used the predicted paid occupancy data we receive from Key Data to build a revenue prediction according to those numbers and use that with our trend and expense to fund the savings. In your packet, you'll find detailed budgets from each department and a total draft that I will present to the county's finance office for consideration. And I want to thank each of you for your time reviewing this with me individually and the feedback you all provided. As you can see, we have only budgeted what we believe we will earn together with what we believe we will save with FY20 while following our state statute guidelines and keeping marketing a minimum of 40% of our operational budget. I will continue to monitor our data and keep all the numbers of possible TDTs up to date with you all, and of course at the next meeting, but also along that process, because we are seeing a little bit of a change in trend, which is a good thing. I did have to pull this data in April, so I was using a baseline then, so that way I could go ahead and build it all. So we are watching numbers change, which is a good thing. I'll keep you all up to date. This next slide depicts the entire budget request broken out by operational departments, with a percentage just as a reference on where the funding goes. And if no additional questions, I would like to respectfully request the council support to present this budget draft to the OMB or Finance Department as directed.
Jason, I know you spent some time with each one of us individually, and I want to thank you for that. It helped me immensely. Gave me a pretty intimate knowledge as to what was going on, but the thing I like about you is you always have an open ear and you're open to suggestions, and that means a lot to us as council members that we have that opportunity to interact with you, that you're not dictating numbers to us, but presenting options and then using our feedback to come up with your final numbers. So appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we were able to cut even more through your all's input, which was fantastic.
We have a request, so need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of presenting the 21 TDC budget to the county, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion is approved. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much. I think I'm still here for a minute. I'm going
Sure.
to step in as and give you some updates with group sales in the Visitor Center. The first one is our sales department. And I'm going to brag on each one of the departments a little bit because they've all had to kind of change their role like many people have. Our sales department has shifted focus over the past 2 months and provided over 600 hours of direct support to our Emergency Operations Center, our ESF 14 department, and the media. They have answered hundreds of inquiries from the community and guests inquiring for direction and information from the COVID-19 to the Musset Bayou fire. We are very proud of the support that they provided and being able to turn and support that aspect so quickly. Prior to that, they were wrapping up their winter leisure and group shows. It was a very big year this year, so we went to a lot of shows really to go in and check out those markets firsthand so we could put some face-to-face. I even got the ability to be able to go with some of them, and they did a fantastic job. Continuing the discussion on some future possibilities, such as the Franklin Wine Festival, Dallas Cattle Barons Ball, and the Emerald Lagasse Foundation event in New Orleans as future or fall, winter activations we may be involved with. But we've been working a lot with our local event partners, making sure their events have been postponed and or rescheduled. And we're beginning to work on our North Walton events program and monitoring the film industry, passing on any leads that may come our way. So they've been very busy now that they pulled from the operations aspect and are getting back in gear for a sales push this year. Look forward. Next, we'll have the Visitor Center. I'll briefly go through this really quick. Our visitation at the Visitor Center and sales were up tremendously. In December, we were up 60%, 14 in January, 11 in February, but then in March, we had a 46% decrease. Of course, we closed the Visitor Center March 17th, kind of preemptively ahead of time when we were watching the trend and realizing that most folks we were having come see us were from outside the area. So until we had a good grasp on what the next step was, we took caution and moved forward with that. Our merchandise sales, again, we had a 139% increase in December, which was amazing. January 51, February 39. In March, we had a 38% decrease, but we're still 31% year to date above in retail sales. So we're at 32,536. So it's amazing that we still did a lot of online orders. We're coming in every week, sometimes twice a week, and filling online orders, which was great. So a lot of people, I don't think we were competing with Amazon or anything, but we were right there. The Visitor Center staff has also continued to monitor the phone 7 days a week, fielding hundreds of calls during this challenging time. They never slowed down supporting the community and visitors. One member also supported the EOC, handling social media as well. They all work 12-hour shifts up there. And another backfill their amazing beach ambassador programs who never stop their operations on the beach. And just to touch on that real quick, I know Jay talked about our beach ambassadors, but to brag on them a little more, our beach ambassadors never left their post. We have 12 employees. 6 of them were part-time seasonal, brand new, just trained right before this happened, and they really hit the ground running. Our lead Lori and other team members even planned a drive-through equipment issue following the COVID guidelines at our visitor center, so we could outfit 150 volunteers so they could hit the beach running when the beaches open back up. So that worked fluid. The parking lot actually, for the first time, worked really well for functionality. So that was a huge success. So they really hit the beach. They were out there every day supporting the Sheriff's Department, the lifeguards, and creating a safe, enjoyable experience for the community as well as when the guests opened back up for them. So I'm very thankful for that. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, go back
No,
to
you're
the
fine.
sales.
Sure.
Are you seeing many of the conferences and conventions and trade shows that would normally go through canceled?
It's
When?
yes, and we're seeing a lot of folks not really wanting to cancel, but wanting to shift dates. So a lot of the fall events that we're going to with sales have been shifted to the winter months. They're trying to hit that January, February timeframe, which is still a great market. It may be that we have a lot to kind of pick and choose from. So looking at the ROI on each one of the shows is going to be vastly important this year, compared to last year with that volume. But we're seeing a lot of trends where people are just trying to shift it. And that way they can work out and see what phase we're in. That way they can have, because as well as most others, like that face-to-face meeting is that valuable connection that you really need to have with sales. And so when we can do that, that's when we're really going to see the ROI. But for right now, we're trying to be there, be engaged, budget for it, and be ready for when they open up. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
David?
Hello. As you guys know, this has been a very interesting time to be in marketing and communications for a tourism destination. A lot changes every day, literally, and so we respond to that really quickly. As Jay mentioned, being in touch with our partners has been crucial. We do try to provide helpful information as soon as that happens. Sometimes that means that after a 7 p.m. Press conference by the governor, we need to hustle to get that information out to all our partners. Sometimes it means making sure they know about what changes the BCC has done. And within all of that, I told my team at the very beginning that the key was going to be open, to be honest, and to be helpful. And so we've tried to follow those tenets with everything that we do. This is a good time to let people participate in the recovery process, to let people help where they can, or to understand that we are all in this together. And that was something that we coined very early on, and at this point we've beginning to move beyond that messaging. But the message does change every day. But the most important thing was to arm people with accurate information, we felt. So one of the ways we did this was through our website. First-time visitors to our website, we met with a pop-up that directed them towards our COVID-19 travel safety page. That became one of the most popular pages on our website, even for repeat visitors. As you can see, people were spending a little over 2 minutes on that page. I think that it was probably the best single source of information for people looking to travel to this region of Florida. We got a lot of good positive feedback, and it was often a difficult message to convey. You had different layers of rules that applied, tried to express that as simply as we could, and update it very frequently. We had special sections on there for our accommodation partners so people could know what was going on there. A special section on there for events, so you could know, and that became less important as all events got canceled, but early on that was important. Restaurants were very important the entire time, and Matt Algren, our content manager, did a tremendous job keeping this update. He would go through sometimes daily the restaurants because they changed that often. We wanted to let people know who was doing half service at first before that was mandatory. We wanted to let people know when it was mandatory. We wanted to let people know who was offering special services or takeout. And we created a one-stop site for that. And again, it took the entire team to keep that updated daily, multiple times a day. We were under direction, very naturally, as this first started, our tone changed. So whereas normally our message, simply put, would be come to South Walton, visit South Walton, have your vacation here. At the beginning of this, we started to see that in the future that might come across as tone deaf or irresponsible. And so before we were given any direction to our message changed essentially from come visit to a more neutral message of isn't it beautiful in South Walton. So we could show pictures and we could let people see that, but we weren't encouraging direct travel. Very quickly, the rules that applied to our partners changed. So, and the guidance from the BCC was listen, not only don't tell people to come here, but maybe you need to start telling people not to come here because that is the situation on the ground. But what we could do is we could keep South Walton top of mind. We could continue to protect that brand and to be helpful. One of the ways we did that was through a virtual Beach Vibes campaign. So this is a friendly way to remind people, hey, we know that now you may not, now it's not really the time to come here, but we know that you miss South Walton. We know that there's a connection that needs to be nourished in a partnership. So what started out as simply Thursday night concerts, where it would be a live feed of local musicians in South Walton scenes who could talk about it, and people could request songs. At the very beginning, there's a lot of interest in just people commiserating that, you know, where are you watching from? We're at home here. We're stuck at home here. But it felt good to be in it together. And it was good that South Walton could bring people that experience and nurture the bond. And it moved on from that to be it turned into a fun thing to do with your friends. You know, you watch it online on Thursday night. Once the newness and scariness of being in quarantine wore off, it was still a way for South Walton to bring you a benefit, whether that was a date night or something else. And then it expanded to be virtual tours of neighborhoods or virtual looks at the beach once that was allowed again. And a way for people to continue to connect and us to acknowledge that, hey, well, you can't visit here during this time. Here's a taste of it. And certainly the idea was that by keeping us top of mind and by spreading this awareness and these visuals, that when people could come back, they would come back and hopefully rescue our economy because we are so dependent on tourism. As you can see, we got about 26 million views on that, which is phenomenal. Really proud of that. That's just over social media. Some of the placements that performed really well through social media, good examples of lots of things that we're doing. So the one on your left there that says water sound over it, we developed, and it was in the pipeline before any of this happened, neighborhood videos for each of our neighborhoods. This, in fact, went out to all our partners yesterday to show them these different packagings of beautiful videos of South Walton that we want them to be able to share through their own social media or on their website or email it to partners, however they want to do it. It's, interestingly enough, really popular with real estate agents as well because they are great neighborhood overviews. But because we had this resource being developed, we were able to package it as a virtual beach vibe. You know, here's a virtual tour. If you can't walk around Rosemary Beach right now, here's a virtual walk around Rosemary Beach. That paid off in a lot of ways. We worked with a partner to do a little virtual bike ride through water sound, and that was something that was very popular as well. Again, at the direction of the BCC, we needed to put out that message, letting people know that in our key markets that the beaches was closed. We can still do that in a friendly and helpful way. So we worked with a local drone photographer here who had captured some really, honestly, stunning imagery of the beaches completely empty when they were closed. And so we showed some of those images at the front side of the commercial with the message, our beaches are closed as we're all in this together, and we're, doing what we can all do to fight the spread of COVID-19 nationally. And then the end of the commercial transitioned into those, the existing footage we had of families on the beach, enjoying the beach. And we said, it won't last forever. When we're back open again, think of us. And so that was a really, really nice message that went over well. As you can see, we picked up a couple more million views on that, and those are within our target markets. So the beauty of digital marketing is that you can change your tone, you can change your target daily, and we needed to. I want to open it up for questions here because we are doing a whole lot all at once, and I recognize that. So if you guys have any questions you want to drill down into a little bit.
David, what are you seeing in terms of, the summer and the forward, bookings and activity? I mean, do we expect to come anywhere close to a typical summer this year? And do you think that we may experience some other dynamics in the fall, like more pent-up demand continuing? And then one other thing is how is the school schedules and all the disruption that's been there changing, visitor patterns?
One thing we have always known to be true is when school is out, people want to come to the beach. And so that seems to be something that is true even in a pandemic. I joke about anything forward-looking is a crystal ball, and everything backwards-looking is data. So we work with key data, which is our analytically driven crystal ball, essentially. If you were to look forward at the next 6 weeks, we are going to be busier than we were last year. Now, what I always warn people, anything forward-looking changes from day to day on the news. So, 3 weeks ago, if you'd looked at this week or even at Memorial Day, it would have told you 9% occupancy. Clearly, when you're not allowed to rent, those numbers are going to be pretty low. As soon as that changed, it filled right up, and it ramped up to where if you were looking forward from one day to the next day to the next day, those numbers continued to climb. So I think a lot of people would tell you that this Memorial Day weekend was probably our busiest Memorial Day weekend ever. If you look at the key data graphs, you'll see that we're about even, but the number of available units has gone up 6.7%, so about 7% from 2019 to 2020. So I'll defer to Philip on the data stuff, but to my thinking on that, if your occupancy levels are staying the same and your available units has gone up 7%, then when we're seeing even year-over-year occupancy, that we're going to be busier. So that can change in a second. Right now, things are very busy. I think we would all been fairly happy with 75% of what we did last year, given the state of things. But that pent-up demand and the fact that we're well-positioned as a drive market, well-positioned as a community that offers a little bit more open space and elbow room has really served us well. And as long as we don't get any bad news, I anticipate that people are going to do their best to have their vacations and come to South Walton, and that we'll pick up people who have maybe never been here before.
Okay, thanks.
Matt, you asked another question about the schools. You want to follow up on that, or was?
Yeah, are you hearing anything in the feeder markets about schools like running through the summer, or based on some of the disruption, or is it more is because of the virtual environment they've been able to put in place? Has that really caused any changes to that?
The real question is, are schools, when do schools go back, and will they go back? And that's something that people are still figuring out. I would bet that schools are going to restart in the fall. Probably about 80% of them will do that just as normal. Now, one thing we may see, a lot of vacation rentals, when they had to cancel bookings, gave them the option to rebook in the future. So we may see people visiting at times that they hadn't visited before, and that'll be, generally speaking, shoulder or later season. So that could be a good thing. We may see a bump there that we might not have otherwise. All right.
Good so far.
We are, you're really just skating on a knife's edge here. You can screw it up on either side, and so far we haven't made any really big mistakes. I'm proud of that. We've got, like I said, Matt working the website and our digital content, and Katie Feeney has been doing a great job with social media. Haley and Lisa working with our partners to get those emails out. Courtney helping us set the tone and doing any of the graphic work we have. I mean, if you go to, even if you're just going to beach access, now you would have seen a sign that said beaches are closed to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Once they open, a sign appeared there. The tagline we put on there was, stay healthy, be helpful. And that's the message we want to convey to people. We want to try to keep everyone safe, and visitors have a role to play in that as well. So everything from digital target marketing to old-fashioned signs on the boardwalk, we've been able to stay right there. But really grateful that everybody's been working very well together.
I think a good indicator for us will be here probably this week. They talked about the 2-week lag time in COVID infections, and we see a mass market that occurred over the Labor Day. We'll see where we are in 2 weeks. But the trend continues downward, I think, for big side.
Yeah,
And Memorial Day, not Labor Day.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Memorial Day.
If you do the math with Walton County right now, even with a small population, which sometimes makes numbers seem weird, but with the number of positive cases we've had in our population, that is 0.1% of our population has tested positive for COVID-19. Take Manhattan, a hot spot like that, 10% of their population is tested positive. So we have a very, very low incidence of it so far, and hopefully we can keep it that way.
Points well taken.
Give a sense of your lodging partners' communication efforts to their guests to be used from earlier to make the visitor part of this process, being respectful when they're here, observing all the guidelines that are in place. You can go anywhere, I think, along 30A, and you see groups of people who are not necessarily following the guidelines, and so we made a very specific effort to produce a guide for our local guests that kind of tells them, gives them that line of what to expect and how we hope they would behave.
Mm-hmm.
Very obviously protective. Do you get a sense that some of your other lodging partners are committed to that? I know you all put out some great communication on that. Do you know what's being shared and what kind of feedback you're able to?
I've seen, a lot of people have picked up the information we've put out there and really run with that and done a good job. Other people have taken even more conservative approaches, which I think is terrific. There are some players that the message they are trying to put out says that everything is normal, and I think the majority of the angry calls we get stem from people who receive that message. And what's more, as I mentioned, we've done these 2 consumer sentiment surveys that we've armed our partners with. The message that's going to make people feel good and the message that's going to be trustworthy is not everything's peachy. It's this message that says, I recognize that there's a threat and I'm going to take extra steps to take care of you. And the partners that do the best job of that are going to be the partners that have those repeat visitors for the next 10 years. But to answer your question directly, some people are good at it, some people are not so good. All right, I will move on to communications. A lot of cool stuff going on there as well. You would think that during a time when travel wasn't allowed, that we would have a hard time getting hits in PR, but we changed our pitching a little bit, and we've actually gotten a tremendous number of media mentions. Sometimes that goes, you want to be topical, so we're talking about what we did with those virtual beach vibes. We talk about how you can have these virtual experiences in South Walton. We talk about what we're doing to help our partners. We talk about what our partners are doing to help the community. Those are all great stories. And we do our normal stuff where we talk about Mother's Day. We just do a different slant on it where we say, here's how you can do a great Mother's Day from home, brought to you by South Walton, and have that sort of experience. So whatever is topical, we're going to do that. Again, part of communications is sending out information to our partners. So we've tried to do a good job of that and keeping people up to date. Examples of some of that PR paying off. You see in Condé Nast and picked up on MSN, we got a nice mention. That's along those lines, related to how you can, everybody's got the same problem. What do we do with the kids if we're stuck at home? South Walton got a nice mention in there, as well as another MSN hit. Distillery 98, one of our local partners, was making not soap, the sanitizer. And so we were able to get them on MSN as well. So that was cool to get those mentions and be seen as thought leaders in those spaces. Forbes picked up our virtual travel and leisure. That's a more standard one, best beaches in America, just because COVID-19 is going on doesn't mean we don't want to still hit those good lists. And even some event planning and the types of publications that are more forward-looking. They have to plan far in advance. Meetings have to choose whether they think people are ever going to meet again, and they do. They believe right now people will meet again, so they want to continue to get that good information out there. We're happy to be in any of those. Again, you're just working with our partners. We had Chef Richard in this bartender's column that we've had a lot of pickup. And while it doesn't focus on South Walton, if you can get a little bit of press that says, at this restaurant in South Walton, then maybe that puts it on more people's radar. We got your Bay Burger in Islands Magazine, which is one of my favorite lines ever. We had sent them a picture of the burger and a short description, and the description they wrote for it was along the lines of, I think, just look at this thing, which is that's how you talk about a really good burger. Here's how some of those clippings looked in person. Quite a few. So be happy to take any questions or comments. We continue to get more stuff in there.
Good job, Dave.
Great job.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Done.
Brian, good morning, sir.
Chairman, council members, Brian Kellenberger, Director of Beach Operations. Appreciate y'all's time this morning. I'm going to zoom through this real quick, so stay with me. Beach Operations. Oop. Beach maintenance. Garbage in January tracked a little bit higher than normal. As you can see, it's about 5,000 bags, a little over 5,000. That's low, and during the busier months, we do about 15,000. February started showing a slight decrease. I don't have slides for March, but March was 5,600 last year, 5,200 this year. And April, we dropped off from 6,400 last year to 290 this year. That's bags of garbage.
I like your notes. I like how you keep your notes.
Is he really?
I got out of there without a notepad this morning. I was busy working at my house and had fewer things going on.
Big trouble for that.
But anyway, it really really shows, that's our key performance indicator is garbage. We do a scientific method of counting those.
Thought it was garbage.
And it really shows. I mean, it tracks right along with Dave's information. So our existing beach access projects, last November we started renovations of our existing ones. We had 4 RBAs and 5 NBAs. We completed those towards the end of February, some middle of March. They're open and look fabulous. If you get a chance, you can check them out. They're in the Seagrove area, just west of 395, and then 4 of our big RBAs, Inlet, Gulfview Heights, Edwa Lane, and Fort Panic. Our new RBA construction, Scenic Gulf Drive, we're getting very close to being done with the permitting effort on that, design and permitting. We had a little issue with a existing retaining wall. Our engineer of record came up with a real good solution. FDEP is reviewing that, and we expect to start construction procurement sometime in October or in August, and then construction in October. Hopefully have it opened up, around May, certainly by June of next year, if everything goes right. Seagrove Beach, about 6% complete. We're actually taking an item before the board next week. It's the wetland mitigation bank purchase to offset our wetland mitigation efforts on that property. And that'll move it into the next stage of state regulatory review. And unfortunately, it's Corps of Engineers too. They have no time limits, so we're kind of at their mercy, but we're working strong with them, and hopefully we'll get it designed and permitted and ready for construction sometime next year. Walton Dunes, we had our decision by the BCC on what they would like to see there. They decided on right-of-way parallel parking on each side of Beachfront Trail, a modest 2 fixture per gender restroom, and a handicap accessible boardwalk. It's going to be a nice improvement to that vacant piece of property that we've had under our control for almost 20 years now. COVID-19 hit, so we were prepared, working close with all the people in our office, the BCC, and getting ready for it. So pre-beach closure, we did our research on best management practices of how to handle this pandemic. We understood the BCC's decision-making processes. So we got ready. We pre-positioned material. We strategized on how we're going to close down the beach when the call came. And when it did, we had our guys out there and had all of the beach accesses barricaded off by 10:30 that morning. Our guys went to work early, like I say, pre-planning and strategizing, helped out a lot. Closed all of our bathroom facilities, and we initially left the parking lots open, but we quickly figured out that that wasn't the best idea, so we closed those as well. That's what beach closure looks like 1970 Seagrove Beach. Beach opening. So we were also prepared for that because we know it's very important to get the beaches back open. So once again, we strategized, got ready, had signage made up. When the call came, we took all the barricades down, had signage up about 9:30 that morning. So once again, our guys worked hard on that. We cleaned all of our bathrooms real good. If there's any group that's probably prepared for something like this, as we are. We already clean our bathrooms very good every day, using good germicides and good practices to make those public facilities healthy and presentable to the public. We opened up all of our facilities, and here's some of our signage we installed on our doors, strategic locations on the boardwalks. So what are we doing to protect the beach visitor? All of our bathrooms are cleaned daily with, like I say, the industrial cleaners and sanitizers. Beach access boardwalks are cleaned. All discarded beach items and toys or whatever are picked up and discarded. We've installed all the signs like I showed you earlier, and here's our employees. We wipe down the doors. Anything that somebody would touch, we wipe down with germicides to help slow and stop this stuff. This is the stations we have actually inside our regional beach accesses. So all of our chemicals are metered. Makes it very easy for our guys. Some of it we hook the hose to, spray it down. Some of it we use in different bottles. But Josh Irvin, when he came on board, has been very instrumental in innovation. And so if you get a chance, thank Josh. He's on top of everything that makes our jobs easier and makes our work better. Protecting the Walton County employee. So all of our guys and gals are given personal protection equipment. They're trained on how to use it. Every week we have a safety meeting to make sure that everybody understands, more importantly, to gauge morale with our workforce. I want to be happy to report that everybody is eager to work, has overcome anxieties and fears, and ready to serve the public. Of course, we reviewed all of our cleaning and restocking tasks. We restructured our crews to minimize exposure amongst crew members, and we removed the vulnerable ones from our workforce. We have a couple of guys that are in that high-risk group because of age. They've been given the option to use their accrued sick time and other opportunities that are available through the CARES Act. Here's some of our guys using the personal protection equipment. There's our large gallon jug of hand sanitizer. We got several of those around. So if y'all run out, come down and see me. Code enforcement. I'm happy to report that the consolidation effort is almost complete. Tony Corman was hired, unfortunately for him, right at the start of the COVID-19, but what a great way to start because everything else will be easy for him. We have provided space in our beach operations facility for the Beach Code Enforcement Department until they get new facilities, and they're working on that. And I'm kind of working in a consulting role to help Tony get his feet under him and make sure he's successful in the beach code enforcement side of it. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'm glad to take them, comments.
Nice job, Brian.
Appreciate it. I'll pass it on. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Right.
Council members want to do any updates?
Maybe I'm behind a little bit, but the CDC Center.
Oh, yeah, let me give you an update on that. So we are actually going before the TRC and the DRB this week and the Planning Commission next week to get those plans approved. We're still working on budgeting. We plan on bringing that back to the council in August. And then once we get approval from the council, we'll move that forward to the board for their approval. So once we get the approval through the planning process, we're going to pause it and bring it to the BCC after the council reviews everything in August. That's where we are.
Breaking.
I was talking to the architect yesterday. Don't hold me to these numbers, but we think we'll be bidding the project out in the fall, and then we'll probably be breaking ground very early winter, beginning of next year. And right now, we're looking probably at about an 18-month build. That's kind of what I have at this moment. So, but we'll definitely bring it back to you in August.
I would just like to, again, thank Jay and your entire team. We all understand and appreciate the hours and the flexibility and the adaptability that has to do with something that's changing every day, sometimes several times a day, to be able to communicate that to the public, to your stakeholders, to your staff. It was not hard. I mean, it's not easy, and I understand that, and really appreciate all of you.
Well, I appreciate that. But, and to my point earlier, with the Board of County Commissioners, because I get the emails and I get copied on a lot of emails they get, and it's like, you have people saying, you need to protect our economy, I need a job, I need to pay my mortgage, and then you have people saying, I can't get this virus, I may die from it. So it's like, my hat's off to the Board of County Commissioners and the decisions they've had to make. And so it's been tough on everybody, but, we're working together and we're getting through it. So, and that's all we have today. So unless there's anything else, any other questions
Any other
for
council
me or
members
staff?
have any comments?
Just a shout out to Jason Cutshaw on the budget. We had some sessions together, and I think you've done a good job of pulling that together and answering all of our questions. And I think what we're seeing is in the numbers is kind of a conservative estimate based on the situation that we're facing. That's very uncertain, but I think you guys are on target, and hopefully we can exceed that. But anyway, thanks for all the work that went into that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you recognizing Jason for that. He has spent a lot of time, and we spent probably a good hour or so with each of you, on the phone or FaceTime or Skype or something like that. And so we appreciate your time and meeting with us to go over the budget. It's really important that we do that. So we thank you for your time.
Any other public comments? Seeing none. Need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
No, I can't make the motion, somebody else.
Motion. You can make the motion.
Adjourn, please.
And now I need a second.
Second.
And on second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye and goodbye. Thank you all very,
Goodbye.
very much.